Bye.
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 Bye. What? Okay. That was a short episode.
Welcome to Instant Discussions, episode 12, C for Cat, as Tony said, C for Cat, where we will be discussing The Evil Dead from 1981 as it relates to Evil Dead 2013.
Yeah.
But first, I want to briefly talk about...
I'm Steffan.
Hi, this is Steffan. We didn't do the intros on part B, I don't think.
Yeah.
Ah, darn. Well, I'm John. That's Steffan. Tony was here. He's not here anymore because he didn't watch Evil Dead, and we didn't want to spoil things
like
for
a
him.
noob.
Oh.
No.
So we're going to say
watch this movie like
we are going to talk about
Son of
The
a
Evil
bitch.
Dead and Evil Dead. So if you haven't watched them but you're okay with spoilers, it's your choice.
We might end up talking a little bit about Cabin in the Woods.
Yeah, we might talk about Cabin in the Woods. So watch Cabin in the Woods as well. Yeah, we may spill some things, but watch Cabin in the Woods anyway. Everyone should watch that anyway.
Maybe we'll try to say, "Oh, Cabin in the Woods time." Don't listen.
No, plug your earmuffs.
Earmuffs.
First, I want to talk about a YouTube video though. Yes, this YouTube video, which currently has about 7.7 million views, was put up in 2009. It was shot for $300. It's called Panic Attack, or Ataque de Panico. I don't know.
That was their budget?
Spanish, $300.
Wow.
Yeah,
that's impressive.
if you search Panic Attack on YouTube, it'll show
That's
up.
impressive.
This was directed by Fede Alvarez. Who
He must have had a friend that knew special effects.
I believe that was his credit for visual effects.
Okay, that's
Yeah.
why. That makes a lot of sense.
Well,
now.
let's.
All
I
right.
mean, I'll actually pull
Just
up the
didn't pay
YouTube.
himself. Must have
the-
been like.
Yeah. Let me actually look that up now. No, wrong one. I was looking at this one. I will find this quickly.
The new Evil Dead and the old Evil Dead I don't know. They don't really compare very well.
They are. Well, this is the thing.
They're totally different films.
They're two totally different films.
I'm sad Tony's not here, man.
I know. I really want to discuss this with him because he's so much. But then I don't want to delay the episode for him. But all right, Fede Alvarez, who directed this. So the film has the giant robots attacking. Describe as I'm. Well, I said go watch that.
Yeah,
thing. I mean,
yeah,
should have paused and do that.
Well, if you've ever, but the thing is, it's like comparing it to this video game that I know is just a horrible example because no one's freaking played, like no one knows the game really. Some people, it's like a niche thing. There's this game called Earth Defense Force 2017, and there's actually quite a few of them. The most recent one being Insect Armageddon, and basically it's all like giant robots, spaceships, and giant insects, and over-the-shoulder shooting action. And you're saving the world type deal. And
so let's see. It was directed by Fede Alvarez.
Shoot 'em up.
It was written by Fede Alvarez.
It reminded me a lot of this film. Short film reminded me of it though.
Let's see. He did the editing on it.
Like I swear, like he probably has played that game.
Yeah. Now he said he did create the visual effects. So
yeah, there you go.
Yeah,
that's why it's $300.
I had to check that. He did $300 for himself, and that's.
If I could do visual effects, I'd be doing my own.
I know. Back in
maybe I should learn it.
Way back when, I used to do student films and stuff, or act in them. It was fun acting stuff. But there was one director who then went on to do a Star Trek fan series called Hidden Frontier, and he pulled me on to do a guest spot on that. But what was great about that, the entire thing was shot in front of green screens. Except for some location stuff. They had makeup artists doing the makeup for it. They did some Star Trek stuff. But he did CGI, and he did he created out all the visual effects. So he made the spaceships and everything in the computers rather than just using models for that. But because that's what he did, and so he created all the backdrops, he created everything in there, and was able to make that. So to do it cheaply, he doesn't have to pay anyone for that because he's paying himself for it. And that's something you see with this, where he's able to do it for cheap for that. But for $300, he made that, and the quality of it is spectacular. For someone making this as a short film for $300. So it was because of that video that he was then offered a deal with a studio for $30 to $40 million to make a movie.
Yeah.
And
Was it
now
very
I've heard kind of like
really?
different stories through this, but I think what I remember is he was asked. He was pretty much given what do you want to do, because this was great. What film do you want to do? And he was like, I'm a really big fan of Evil Dead. I would like to direct a Evil Dead. And
that's what he produced.
now the idea though is when you're saying that, you're saying the Evil Dead is a Sam Raimi series. Sam Raimi's not planning on having someone else do an Evil Dead movie. However, Sam Raimi sees this and gets respect for the director, has the passion, he understands his passion for that, and somehow they were able to allow him to direct this. Though Bruce Campbell still produced.
What did Sam Raimi say after seeing the Evil Dead?
I don't know.
Evil.
I don't know. I haven't heard his
interesting.
response to it. Yeah, I know that Bruce Campbell's a fan of it because he's been promoting it and he's the producer on it. So
right.
Yeah, it's more Bruce Campbell involvement. I'm sure Sam was busy with Oz, Great and Powerful. He was directing that one at the time.
Who?
Oz the Great and Powerful.
No, who?
Sam Raimi.
Oh, okay.
The director of
Yeah.
that.
That's pretty sure that's what we're talking about.
So Bruce Campbell produced this one. I think Fede Alvarez was a great choice on that for the director. But it's so now moving on to Evil Dead. So that was the short to back up and say this is Evil Dead is Fede Alvarez's first feature film.
Okay.
And just like The Evil Dead was Sam Raimi's first feature film. Now with The Evil Dead, he had done the film before that of Within the Woods, and that was his calling card film that then got the producers to back him to make The Evil Dead. Mm-hmm. So with this one, Fede Alvarez made this. The studios see that, and they're able to back him to make Evil Dead.
See, so my first thing I want to say about this film is that there's something that I really appreciated. I really, really liked that this man did with a horror film, but then I thought it was completely inappropriate for Evil Dead.
How so? What was it?
And it was the beginning, the story, the whole drug addict thing.
Oh, see, I absolutely love that. Now I
absolutely loved it for a horror film.
But this is the thing, because this one is a reimagining of Evil Dead. It's his own thing, and it's not Ash's story. The rest of Evil Dead is Ash's story. And supposedly what they're planning on doing is then making this one meet up with Ash eventually.
I was actually really, really happy with this, like a lot of the way through the film, but then like later, when it started to bring in the campy, that's when I just completely rejected it. It was because it didn't really have like those campy, like humorous moments until I didn't think so.
It had like the campy stuff that I saw in there was mostly to do with the demons.
Yeah.
And how they acted.
But it didn't really happen till like much later.
But the demon stuff didn't, like nothing, the horror stuff didn't happen until a while into it. Because they had so much of the backstory to deal with her as a heroin addict and her beating that addiction. Yeah. Which, I mean, one of the reasons I love that so much is you look at the original film and they say, we're going to go to this cabin in the woods. And that's it. That's the motivation for them being there. Yeah. And when weird stuff happens, it's just that.
But that adds to the be campy.
No, it adds to the campiness of it, and that's fine. That's fine for campy.
That's why I'm saying.
But we already have our campy Evil Dead. But I'm saying this has the reason that those demons in there are that campiness. But that's because they're the same demons.
But that's like saying, all right. You know, we usually do country music, but we've already done country. Let's go do some rap. Like
it's not that at all. It's not.
I mean, it's not quite that drastic, but it'd be more like, let's go do some rock and roll.
This is you saying, all right, when you get to a remake, it's the question of why are you remaking that?
Okay.
And with Evil Dead, it's a classic film. Now, if you go to something, and again, you haven't seen Citizen Kane, but that idea of let's remake Citizen Kane, it's a very old film. We can remake that now.
Yeah.
But they don't remake it because the thing is, any director that goes to do a remake of Citizen Kane, you're going to be compared to Citizen Kane.
Yeah,
that's going to be tough
Let's remake The Godfather.
Yeah, you're not going to remake The Godfather. You're not going to remake this Star Wars.
Let's remake Shawshank Redemption.
You don't remake certain films
let's remake Rocky Horror Picture Show.
Exactly, because you can't capture that again.
Yeah.
You're not going to be able to do that again. So if they're going to Evil Dead, now they had been talking about doing sequels to Evil Dead, and sequels you can do because you can continue Ash's story. Mm-hmm. But this proposal to do a remake of Evil Dead, that's tough. If you're just doing you don't want to just do the same thing again. You want to do it in a different way.
Well, then how about I propose this? They shouldn't have had the campy.
I think they should, only because it's going to connect with the other films, and they want to have the same demons.
But see, then they're using this remake to connect with the other films. Then there's the problem.
And it's not
already.
a remake entirely. Now, this is one
see,
of my.
They got to decide. They need to decide.
No. One of my crazy theories with this, and I need to go back and rewatch Army of Darkness, but I don't know. Spoiler alert for that.
For Army of Darkness?
Yes.
Oh, okay.
Spoiler alert for Army of Darkness. Ash lives through the second one to be able to come back to Army of Darkness. But Army of Darkness, they go back to the 1300s?
Something like that.
He goes back in time. But now, if you look at the Back to the Future way of looking at that, now that he's gone back there, he creates this alternate timeline.
Yeah.
So we've already been in Ash's universe here, where all the events of the Evil Dead have happened. Now he's gone back in time and created this alternate timeline. In that alternate timeline, that cabin's still there, and it was taken over. There's another family that used it. There's a different history in that cabin, but the demons are still there. The Book of the Dead is still arrives there. It's similar things, but it's just a little different, and Ash's story isn't in there. It's in this other timeline that he was in before.
Yeah.
That's a one way that could be looking at it, but that demon still exists in the Army of Darkness era, so the same demon's there that's going through this. So that campness that's in that demon, the one that's controlling the puppets, is the same puppet master. So they're gonna. It's not. I don't consider it campy as much, really. I consider it the personality of that demon, which is a little more cartoonish. It's more out there, but I don't think it was as out there as in the other one. It's kind of like justified crazy demon.
It wasn't as far out there.
Yeah.
Well.
But I want to get back to that. That's the story about how they get to the cabin and why they're at the cabin, and before the craziness happens.
Okay.
I want to talk about that first if we can, and then we'll get to the
drug addiction.
The drug addiction, and so I like that because taking aside the Evil Dead franchise that has existed before, just looking at this as a horror film, and going into that.
No, it was brilliant.
Yeah, you have reason for them to be there.
Brilliant.
You've said it's not that we're gonna stay in this because we want to win a lot of money. Is there's this deal, the contract that they bet someone to be in there?
We're trying to spook ourselves.
Yeah, we're trying to scare ourselves.
Staying the night in the forest in a wooded cabin. They don't
even see this as a haunted cabin. This is a cabin that they used to use as their family, but they haven't used it in a long time because the mother got sick with cancer, and so they haven't been up there in forever because of that. The family hasn't been together. So in all that time that they haven't been at this cabin, it's
gone turned to shite.
Yeah. Anything could have happened in that cabin, including some witchcraft and some crazy things that wasn't there before. Mm-hmm. So the cabin could have been just a nice cabin in the woods, and now it's gotten imbued with all that witchcraft. And because of
the cabin in the Evil Dead, is that cabin owned by Ash's anything?
Or
is it ever say?
It's said in the car scene in the very beginning while they're driving up there how they got the cabin. I think they had purchased it. Someone had purchased it just recently. I think that's what had happened.
Okay.
Either purchased it or rented it, but they just recently had acquired it. There's no history that they have to the cabin. It's not a family cabin as far as I remember from that. But
thinking of time, I'm just thinking.
So this one
story timeline if they're getting connected. Yeah.
Yeah. Well, it would be from the 1300s on. So at any point.
Well, but Ash, he does go back, but then he goes forward again.
Yeah.
He goes back to his time.
Yeah, but.
He does.
The cabin. Yeah, no, but in the time, but not. I'm talking about location in that. He goes to the graveyard, and I don't know.
Okay.
He ends up at S-Mart.
Yes.
Shop S-Mart. But it keeps them in there, and it also allows the allegory for all the rest of the film.
Yeah.
Because when you're talking about in a horror film,
and that I loved because it was a horror movie cliche.
Yeah,
but it was
But in
100% justified.
But you're
That was
exploring
amazing.
you're exploring this realm of fantasy to tell a story about addiction and about the suffering through that, and watching a family member go through this pain. And how far are you going to watch them suffer through their withdrawals when you could end their pain by giving them some of the medicine that could kill them?
Yeah.
Now that's looking at that allegory to it. You then look at it in any type of zombie film where you're looking at the thing of, oh, I'm killing this person. His sister is when the Ash character, he's dressed very similar to Ash and looks just like Ash. They've casted him to be Ash, but he's not the cartoony Bruce Campbell. He's still
Kind of looks like Ash.
He looks like Ash. After rewatching both of them, he's wearing like similar shirt and stuff, and he's got the same hairstyle. I
was waiting to hear his name.
I know it was something basic. They said it, but it's not.
Oh,
Ash.
did they?
They're all different names. So it's
okay.
It isn't Ash, but it is the Ash character. And throughout most of the film, he's the power character in there.
Yeah.
Who we presume then is going to be...
The story's about him and his sister.
And if you look at this as a remake of The Evil Dead, you see, okay, you know what's going to happen with that guy, and eventually he's going to, cut off his arm, get a chainsaw on him, get this boomstick, and
and they even tease it. Even tease it. You see the chainsaw.
They show the chainsaw, they show the shotgun, they show all of that in there. They have great homages to it. The necklace is the same necklace that Ash gives his girlfriend in there.
Is it?
It looks just like it. It's a similar thing, and that I didn't catch until after rewatching you see the new film and then rewatching the old film, and looking at it back to back. You see that necklace. It's not made as prominent in that one. There's a lot of very similar things that
I saw the necklace
taken there.
Oh, I know what necklace you're talking about. Oh, right. But it wasn't wood. It wasn't like
no, it wasn't wood, but it was
that
there was
style. There's a ring on
the ring
on
on
a
necklace.
necklace.
So it's watching Ash. I'm gonna call him Ash. Ash counterpart. I could easily just look up his name, but I don't care.
Whatever.
So he's watching his sister suffer, and he didn't watch his mother suffer through cancer. So now he's going through this journey of having to watch that.
Yeah.
And alone, that's its story. That's if I'm looking at this horror film as how the story actually happened in real life without all the supernatural stuff. The base story that this comes from is that story of watching them suffer through addiction, and the suffering gets so great that he has to decide if he's going to give her the heroin so that she can suffer to ease her pain, to ease her suffering. So then, when she becomes possessed after she's raped by a tree, so they redo the tree rape scene. It's the classic thing, and then
held down by a tree.
Bruce Campbell and Sam Raimi call it the tree rape scene.
Okay.
So I call it the tree rape scene.
But it's not. Well, okay.
It's a vine thing that comes out through there. It is the thing that penetrates is the tree. Is a plant. But she's held down by the tree.
Yeah.
And then there's the evil spirit, the evil demon that comes up and vomits out that root.
And it's funny because not ever having seen 1 or 2, the originals.
Yeah.
Right when I saw that thing come out of that girl's mouth, because I saw the Evil Dead before The Evil Dead.
Yeah.
Right when I saw that come out, I just somehow knew that's going up her vagina.
Mm-hmm. Especially the way that the tree's holding her down. You're like, yeah. And that's, like, there's not many other movies that have tree rape in them.
Yeah. And so that was cool. That was cool because that was something I would have never expected to see in, like, an American film.
Yeah.
It's something like that.
I mean,
but instantly, like,
one,
I was just totally alluded to this is gonna happen. And it wasn't even like I had a clue.
Yeah.
Except that, the tree was...
Yeah.
But it was self-contained.
Yeah. So that begins all... before that he finds the book and they go there. Although I like in the original.
The Evil Dead.
In The Evil Dead. I keep saying the original too, because I'm confused. And also, the only thing I'm really going to say about... I need to say about Cabin in the Woods is the basement door opening.
Right.
Both those movies, the basement door opens abruptly, and then they get startled by it and go down. I like the way they handled it in this one. The dog.
Yeah.
Because the dog smells, finds, and scratches at the rug that's covering it up. They open it themselves. There's no supernatural thing opening up that thing for them.
Yeah.
There's no evil. They show the evil stuff in the thing beforehand, but no demons are attacking them until the book is read.
Right. They're the ones that start.
They initiate everything.
They're the ones that actually, the hipsters.
Yeah.
Or whatever.
That the English professor.
The English professor.
Yeah. And it makes sense that he's an English professor and he finds this book and he's interested in it because he's interested in literature.
I actually missed that he was an English
Yeah.
professor. I must have
They mentioned that when he's first introduced there, but they really established these characters. You don't have in the original Evil Dead, you've got a group of friends.
Yeah.
And two of them are dating.
Yeah, and there's some
other stuff. Yeah, some douche. You don't have, but in this one, you establish it. You're like, okay, you've got the brother and the sister. You got the sister who's a heroin addict. You've got the brother's girlfriend. I can't remember what her job was. They said it.
She's a nurse.
No, the other one's a nurse.
I thought she was a doctor.
No. It's it's confusing in the dialogue, and I get why you think that in there because she says, "Oh, this is so and so. Oh, she's this, right?" And then she says, or he says, like the computer programmer. I don't know what she was, but I'm going to say that. And then she says the doctor. And he says the nurse actually, or says the nurse. Sorry, I didn't mean because his girlfriend calls her thinks that she's a doctor. And addresses her as a doctor, and she says, "No, I'm a nurse." So the black girl was she's the doctor,
right?
But the blonde girl isn't in any medical profession. She has a different job, and I can't remember what it said. But it's not as important to the franchise of it. It's mostly she's the girlfriend. Then we've got the leading man. We've got the girlfriend. We've got the drug addict sister. We've got the doctor because we need to have the medical knowledge to go along with that, so someone to analyze it and understand it. And we've got the English professor, who is the person who's going to read the book. Because any other person there that finds that mound of a book thing, a lot of them might not read it because they're actually rational people.
Yeah,
these are not the stereotypical characters that we find in Cabin in the Woods. They're not the stereotypes. These are rational people, and I like seeing that in horror films too.
I just want to study this
completely
thing,
justified.
I just want to know.
He's like, I want to know what this is, and he's just trying to read that stuff. He's like, because he doesn't believe in supernatural, of course. He's an English professor. He's just reading things. He's an intellectual. He's trying to find out things. So when it says like, if you don't read it aloud, it'll wake the demon. You're like, okay, and he's just trying to pronounce it, and he reads it.
Yeah. And
it was that fault because his arrogance in that.
That still felt a little cliche-y to me that moment,
but it's
that's probably because I missed the English professor part.
Yeah,
probably had something to do with that.
If you understand that, then you understand why he's reading it, and that's it. I did see this one twice, so the second time I even got it even more, but. There's a reason for why he does that, and I like that. Everything
cool.
Has a reason in this. Makes sense. Again, compared to the original one, which is just people getting up there doing nothing and finding a weird book, and they do have the audio recordings and that, which is nice. So then it reads it for them.
Seeing
so
all this justification and that's so awesome, and I really appreciate that. And then it just turns out to be torture porn.
And again, I don't like calling it the torture porn because originally it's just called gore, but then when it's done well, it's called torture porn. In the original one is a gore B movie, and they called it gore throughout the 80s. Because when people did it was gore because it was just like the blood and the stuff and the.
But so much of what was in the film how they were trying to scare their audience.
A lot of it was cringe more than
was
stuff
like, seeing them actually saw off an